Pour my tea.
Okay, I believe we are live.
Hey,
Hey, hey, hey.
dropping everything.
Turn you up. Get all of this going. How are you doing? For the people to know.
I'm doing really well today. Feeling calm, feeling present, very aware that every moment is like a gift.
Hmm.
Like I've had that reminder today, um, that at any moment this whole experience can change. And so we take it for granted. Um, just because we're so fortunate, used to, and blessed to have another moment and another day and another opportunity that it just becomes the norm.
Yeah,
Um, and so yeah, it's that reminder. I got that reminder today of like, yeah, this changes, you
yeah,
know, um, into something, into things that look totally different at some point.
yeah.
Um, so just yeah, be present, enjoy the moment. Um, So yeah, I think I'm very much in my body, um,
Hmm.
very aware that I'm having a human experience right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Um, yeah, which is sometimes I feel alienish. And so, you know,
Yeah,
in my spirit, in my head, and just kind of like detached in a way. I think the word is detached in a way. But
yeah,
today, feeling grateful for this vessel.
yeah.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling reminding myself to be present.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Yeah, today's definitely a reminder for me to be present and in my body and just yeah, I'm feeling like I'm just completely in a state of, I guess, surrender, I guess,
Hmm.
or feeling like I'm being pushed into a state of surrender. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just flowing,
Yeah.
flowing and whatever I say. Yeah.
That's a really good it's a good place to be.
Yeah,
Sometimes we can be resistant to uh doing that, I suppose. Sometimes we get forced into it.
yeah,
Um, but in that is always like a really great place because it's like, I don't know, like sometimes I think, why do we want to control things so much? And it's like
yeah, yeah,
we know that it's not always the best route, but ultimately we know fear is the underlying reason. Like I've got to have it this way, otherwise things might not go how I perceive it to or desire it to go. So we like force things sometimes. And then when you're forced into a situation of like, you just got to let this go and just flow, it always feels better. Like it's
yeah,
not just like, do you know what I mean? Like when you
yeah,
actually truly surrender, it's like all the tension that you've been like holding on to make things or to kind of make it happen the way you want to happen. When you're actually in the midst of surrender, it's like it's a release,
yeah.
but you were resisting the release the whole
And it's like,
time because you thought you could think your way into a better scenario or situation or experience when it was like just flow because the signs are there, like the signs are
yeah,
there. So I don't know, I just feel that way about me sometimes where I'm like I've
yeah,
been
it's
forced
true. And
and
it's
I'm
like
like,
in this
why do I do
grand
this?
scheme of things, like what, like when you get down to the root of it, what are you running from? Like, what are you trying to curate? You know? So,
We just think we know better, right?
yeah,
And so because we think we know better, we believe that like we can use logic to like create the outcome that we want. And whilst that most definitely plays a part and is helpful, it's like not the soul route, and it's not even the main route for me.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah.
whole other uh, timeless goddess insights conversation where like flowing intuitively has gotten me or given me a greater experience than like trying to logically figure it all out.
Yeah.
Um, and that may not be everyone's experience. Maybe they think they're having the peak of their experience by logically thinking their way through everything. But um, there's always like more and greater. So even if you
Yeah.
think you hit the peak, I think there's more. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's a whole nother China's Goddess
Yeah.
Insight
Yeah.
conversation.
No,
That we
definitely.
have.
There's definitely a whole conversation in that. I definitely agree. Um, but it's a wonderful reminder though. It's a wonderful reminder.
Mhm.
Um, and like you said, it's the basis of everything, especially everything that we're doing, like is flow. Like this is not a logically curated thing or world and community that we're building. This is all intuitive. This is all about flow. So in the creation of it, we have to is it like every step is a reminder to be in flow. Because through that is where the most aligned and beautiful creations happen.
Yes. And this is why I love what we're doing and curating and creating because I've always said that I'm someone that's like driven by passion
Yeah,
and like doing something, working on things, creating experiences that like truly resonate with me means that when I'm actually working on these things, like I feel alive.
mm,
Like I feel alive and I feel encouraged. I feel motivated. I feel excited about like existing in the moment and working on this, but also what I'm bringing to fruition.
yeah,
Like, and it's soul felt.
yeah,
It's not like, oh, this is just a good idea. Like, I have millions of good ideas. Like,
yeah,
we all have millions of good ideas.
yeah,
It's beyond that. There's like a
yeah,
deep soul resonance. Like, even when we were talking earlier in the week and we were looking at images and things like that, and we are
yeah,
like, we were alive just
yeah,
thinking about like what
literally.
we're producing, how it's coming together, the divine guidance and the insights. Like nothing beats that feeling of like
No,
committing yourself, devoting yourself to something that is you, about you, but as a spiritual being having a
yeah,
human experience, but it's not just about you. It's like it's about everything. And then we get so
yeah,
passionate in speaking about it because it resonates with us so much. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, and it's what we are building is just incredibly powerful. And for those who are new or who are not sure, we are the founders of Her Emerald Club, which is a global society in which women tap into the highest possibilities available to them, amongst many things. And through that, we are launching our app, which is the kind of global center for which all these women can connect and communicate and gain resources. And there's 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 a lot to it, and we are going to go into more depth over the next days or weeks on here. And definitely stay tuned for that. And you can join the waitlist at heremeraldclub.com, which will be in the caption as well. But this is what we're building. And it is, um, we discussed this before earlier as well. It's not even a business. It's a world building undertaking.
that in itself is like wild to me, the fact that I didn't even, and this, like, it's crazy. We was having this conversation earlier in the week where it's like, I didn't
Yeah,
even think of this as like a business. I know it's a business,
yeah.
but that's not the, like, to think that I didn't even think about it from the
It's just a
business.
business in technical terms, but and that's really now because this is not what it's it's not what it is forecasted to be.
I'm laughing because I know we haven't given huge detail. Um, and that's at the moment that's strategic. We will be sharing in detail what we're doing and what we're producing, what we're creating, and why we're doing this, and the need for something like this. We're seeing so many conversations and answering the call um, from the divine feminine beings right now. Um, and so what what we have is just it's something tremendous, it's something special, and I can't wait to share with everybody. But as we were saying, it's just uh it's beyond us.
Yeah,
Um when you're doing something that has such a far reach, um you have a tremendous responsibility to really show up in a certain energy,
yeah,
in a certain way, not performative. I'm talking about integrity, authenticity,
yeah,
um, and deep honesty to yourself as a divine feminine being. Um, and this is what I was saying, connecting that back to what we were saying earlier about working on something that kind of activates us. It challenges me to continuously show up in the way that is uh, most beneficial,
yeah. Mm,
because the human side of me will sometimes, do I really want to do this right now? Do I really want to get up and go to the gym? Do I really want to? But I'm creating an experience where I'm reminding myself, like, all the decisions and the little choices that I make contribute to this wonderful being that I am. And this is what it looks like when you're operating in your higher self.
yeah,
And this is what we're talking about. This is what we're encouraging. And so, working on something that challenges me to operate and move in my highest essence is powerful.
yeah. Absolute. Even like we're currently creating the resources for our app,
Mhm,
and even in what I'm currently creating, the projects that I'm working on at this current moment,
mhm.
it's I like the resources are so powerful that I have to go through it. I'm not just creating them, I'm actually having to live through these
Embody.
teachings and embody them as
Yeah.
I create them,
Mhm.
which I'm really grateful for because it just speaks to the power. It's not a thing where, we just throwing this and putting this together and it's unchanging. Like I'm each and every resource is like I'm being initiated through.
Yeah.
Um and which just speaks to the power of what we've got going on.
Mm,
I
mm.
can't create each of these resources without being unchanged.
That's it. That's it. That is it. Like, the embodiment of the wisdom and the knowledge that we're sharing is actually the most powerful piece. It's the most powerful piece
Yeah,
because you can always detect when somebody is regurgitating rhetoric that
Yeah.
they or a narrative they've become familiar with, but
Yeah.
isn't necessarily in tune with how they operate or their essence. Like at some point, it becomes apparent. Um, and especially if you're somebody who's got heightened discernment and you're able to see through things quite quickly. Not all of us do, but for some of us, we can detect unintentionally. It's just a wiring, right?
Yeah.
So the embodiment of that knowledge and wisdom as we're creating um, is really, really crucial
Mm.
because I could only speak on things and share things that I'm in resonance with.
Mm. Yeah.
If I'm unsure, if I don't know something or it's not my experience, I'll hold space for somebody else to take the forefront and lead on that where I can learn from that space. But if I'm sharing or creating something, it's because there's resonance there with that wisdom and that knowledge. And
Yeah.
just like you said, you're forever changed by the experience of just creating something so powerful.
Yeah.
Um, so it's an honor and it's a wonderful space to be in. Um, we've cracked jokes like earlier in the week of feeling like I feel like I'm a superhero in so many ways, in the sense of and in the
Yeah.
sense of like not in the sense of coming to save people, because that's what I think people think when they think superhero.
Yeah.
But my perspective on it is more like being given something powerful. Like a superhero always has some kind of power, right?
Yeah.
Something powerful that they then use for good. So I'm thinking about it in that respect, like the divine has like given
Mm.
me in this human experience
Yeah.
the ability to, the power to, and now I uh await divine guidance and instructions on how to really create such awesome impact.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. And I think we all have that.
Yeah.
It's just whether we choose to acknowledge, activate, utilize. So yeah, I've been feeling powerful. I've been
Yeah.
feeling powerful and awesome. And um yeah, like things are good. Things are great. So much is changing over the next few months. Like I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
let's surrender, like you said earlier, surrender, trusting in the process, trusting in the
Yeah.
divine. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I so grateful. So just so much abundance in the here and now. And yeah, so today our timeless goddess insights topic is, and let's touch on that actually, because the last webinar we were still Divine Fridays, and we have transitioned the name of Divine Fridays to Timeless Goddess Insights. Which is us. We are the goddesses. If you watched the last webinar, we had come to that got that kind of download that we are the goddesses with the insights. And so it felt like the natural progression to um shift our name a little bit. So we are
Mhm.
Timeless Goddess Insights this webinar. And today's topic is the goddess algorithm, AI through a divine lens.
Mhm.
Um, an exciting topic, I think. AI has been something that I mean we've been discussing a lot, and it has come up. It's I feel like we're in a time in which the attention surrounding AI is becoming more heightened. I mean, which makes sense because it's being infused more and more into our realities. And like with everything, I think. especially when it comes to like technology,
Mhm.
and artificial intelligence and everything. Every time there's kind of an elevation to technology and something new is being introduced to the masses, there are always going to be groups of people who are like, this is terrible, this is not good, we need to go back to
Mhm.
the old ways, which is again the old ways. We discussed that in our last webinar on ancient wisdom and what that even means. But I feel like we're in a time in which, because so many of us are awakening to our power and to just certain universal truths, there are a lot of us who are kind of seeing like it's in our favor to figure out how to utilize this stuff for our own evolution and elevation, rather than shying away. Um, so I'm excited about this topic. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. It was a topic that came up when we originally started Divine Fridays. And we had a conversation with a great group of ladies who had awesome, valuable contribution. Um, and Liv and
Mhm.
I, after just buzzing from that conversation, felt like there was so much more that we wanted to
Yep,
elaborate on or share or speak on. And I don't even have a list of things right now. Um, but
yeah,
as
just
we flow, as
flowing.
always, things come to mind. But I totally agree with you with the fact that we're constantly evolving as a species.
Yep,
There's constant technological advancements taking place within every civilization. And so whenever there's changes, there's always, like you said, those who embrace, but also those who fear.
yep,
And AI is the disruptor, shall we say,
mm,
that has changed the way that we see and understand the world in more recent times. And being on the side of learning and understanding um, artificial intelligence, I purposely put those in quotation marks. But artificial intelligence and how to utilize that to our benefit is going to be absolutely instrumental in just how we progress and experience life moving forward.
yep,
Um, with everything, there's always perceived positives and negatives.
yep,
There's those who have great intent and there's those who have ill intent. And then you've got those in the middle who are just scared of anyone who's doing either
yep,
because it changes the status quo.
yep,
Um, but for me, I am learning to embrace AI more and more because there's a level of ease that comes along with doing so. So let's connect that to the divine feminine, right?
yep,
It's not necessarily a topic that you would, on the surface, think that go together. But as we
yeah,
touched on before, it's like when you really start to understand the divine feminine essence, as we've spoken on before, you're thinking about or feeling flow, surrender, easeful experiences and processes. And the way that our brains are wired as women, um, chemically as well, we operate differently. We think in a very different way.
yeah,
Um, and AI can really be utilized to further enhance um, ease in our day-to-day experiences. So we're not even talking about anything complicated. We're talking
no,
about embracing, let's use, for example, ChatGPT or any of those LLMs. Um, embracing the usage of ChatGPT to help you create um, a week's planner or a month's planner um, in a way that helps you to embrace flow and ease. So let me take this back a bit. So imagine back in, I'll use this for an example, 2K14.
Not the 2K.
2K14. 2014, let's just use that year, for example. Nothing crazy happened for the masses, but for me and Liv, for our own reasons, it was a pivotal year. But
Yeah.
2K14, we're in a time where we've always been entrepreneurial, um, creatives, and we would plan the hell out of things. We'd get our pen and papers out, we'd get our laptops out, and we'd like start planning in detail, 9 o'clock, what we're going to do, 10 o'clock, what we're going to do, what we're going to do for this business, what we're going to do for that business. And that was all great and really helpful, and necessary. And it helped me to refine my skills.
Yeah.
But now I can go into ChatGPT, and rather than me having to think about every single step in planning, I can put in a prompt and say, today I want to create a, a I want my day to flow with ease. These are the three things that I need to do, including X, Y, and Z, for my personal life and at home. Help me create a plan that uh, incorporates all of this. And in detail, ChatGPT in all of
And within
10
seconds.
seconds, in all of 10 seconds, will give you a level of detail that is attuned to what you required or desired.
Yeah.
Um, it may sound really simple, but it's so effective. It's so useful. It's so helpful. So
Yeah.
now you no longer have to plan the plan.
No.
You can put some prompts in or some ideas of what it is that you would like or require, and then have ChatGPT create the schedule for you.
Yeah.
So for me, in that sort of way, it's a powerful tool. It's a useful tool. It's a helpful tool. There's so many other more complex ways that you can utilize ChatGPT or AI in general. But in terms of like for those who are unsure or unaware of, okay, what is even the benefits of that? You can really do that. There was a prompt going around that was really great the other day. I think you and I used it where it was like create a day in the life of my ideal, like a day in my ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you put in details of, what you're striving for, what it is that you want to create or whatever. And it would literally give you like a plan of how to operate in a way that's going to help you achieve that result at the end
Yeah.
of it. That's phenomenal.
It absolutely is. And I think a lot of us, I think a lot of it is awareness as well.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important to note that when you can, I feel like we're coming out of an era in which I think human beings in general were spending a lot of their lives doing tasks, or just partaking in things that was not fueling their creativity. And when you have systems and artificial intelligence and technology that can take over the things that are not fueling your creativity or feeding your soul, you can actually have the brain space to actually dive into your soul's calling and into your creativity. Um, and this is something that I've heard being spoken on before. But it's really does help to reframe things because, there is the concern about AI taking over certain jobs and, you know, taking over certain tasks that human beings are doing. But then we have to kind of take a deep dive and look into those jobs and tasks that they're taking over. Very, a lot of the time, it's very robotic kind of. repetitive tasks that, like I said, are not feeding our soul's calling. And so a lot of the times, these jobs that we're in as humans, we want to come out of. And we have found so many kind of reasons as to why we can't follow where we're being guided or follow our passions. And then something comes along and kind of forces you to.
Mm,
That's a powerful reframe. That's a
mm,
powerful reframe.
yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, the ways in which we are being called to show up in the world and to help um, and assist the collective, those very deep ways that we're being called, they can't be replicated by technology
Mm,
when it
mm,
comes down to it. And so I feel like with all the changes that are happening regarding AI and regarding technology, it's an opportunity. Like perspective shifts are key. You're always kind of, I heard someone say the same, you're always kind of like one perspective shift away from whatever it is. I can't remember the end of it, but one perspective shift away from um
a
like
different
being on a
outcome
time,
or change.
yeah,
Yeah.
being on
In
a timeline a
timeline.
single favor. And so it's when things like this arise and there's huge shifts going on in the world, it's literally an opportunity to ask yourself these questions. Like, is now the time? Like, for example, 2020, that was a huge year. Everything changed for everybody. And a lot of people utilized that, or not even utilized, a lot of people were just awakened from that. Um, and now their lives have gone in a different trajectory, but one that is um more aligned with their soul's purpose and what they're feeling called to do. But
Mm,
something had to take place
to
for
force.
it to, right, to force the shift. So I definitely feel like that with AI, and nothing is inherently good or bad. There were times when smartphones came out and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people thought this was the end of times, like this is terrible. And it's like there are those that ran with this, you know, evolution of
Mhm,
society and utilized it to their benefit and got ahead. And there were those who eventually, not everybody has a smartphone now, but those who were kind of reluctant to take it on board. But now it's connecting you to people and friends and family all over the world that you would have had
mm,
to wait to see or speak to, and like it's doing so much wonders. And of course, like with everything, there are people and beings utilizing it for maybe not so great stuff, but that is all about a particular person's intention behind things. Nothing is inherently good or bad. And so I feel like we're at a pivotal point, especially for women who are wanting to live a life of flow and ease and purpose. Um, AI is a huge tool to dive into and utilize.
mhm,
And this is I like that we're having this conversation as well because it's a huge part of what we are doing and how we are sharing and spreading information within her Emerald Club. And it's we're going to be having a lot of resources on this. Um, but it's within the rise of AI. Um, every new discovery or every new invention that's introduced, it's, if you're feeling resistant to it, I feel like it's an opportunity to just ask yourself some questions, really.
yeah. I agree, obviously. Anytime there is resistance, it's always an opportunity to ask yourself questions, no matter what it is. Um, so that's like, why do I feel this way? Like, what is this showing me about myself? Or are there underlying fears there that may need to be addressed? Because it's for a reason. Um, and I think AI is not going anywhere.
Mm,
That's what we have to understand, right? Um, it's it's here.
Yeah.
And it's been here way longer than you've even realized that
Mm.
it's here. It's just the general public are exposed way later to technological advancements than those who are actually creating them and testing them out and utilizing them for different resources. I mean, I saw some information the other day on governments having technology um, that enables them to create what's known as wormholes so people can uh, move through time quicker, essentially, from one
Right.
point to another point. Um, and that sounds science fiction, but it's just science, no fiction. Right?
Right.
Um, and so there's so many things that are happening outside of your awareness um, that will become known at some point in the future. But right now, like, there's nothing to fear when it comes
Yeah.
to AI. Yes, you've always, like you said, you've always got people who don't have good intentions. You've got people that have got great intentions. But let's start focusing on us as individuals, right? And asking yourself, like, how can I use AI, especially if you're somebody who let's even do some separation. I don't typically do this, but like business owners,
Mm.
like the whole point of running a business is um to generate money. To a lot of people are doing things that they love and are passionate about. There's some people who are just good at certain things and decide that that looks lucrative and I'm going to go into it. But essentially, whatever it is and whatever your reason is for embarking on that particular business venture, like you want to streamline processes, you want to be efficient, you want to like reduce labor as much as possible, right? So integrating artificial intelligence in a way that um, is helpful is makes the most sense. Um,
Yeah.
I spoke earlier about people who can use chat, even something as simple as ChatGPT, to create schedules in their daily lives. Um, there's nothing to fear as long as you're focusing on how you can utilize it to benefit yourself. Everything else is just stories or imagination
Yeah.
because at this present moment, you can only use it to really, you might as well focus on using it to really amplify your experience, make your
Yeah.
experience as easy, as straightforward, as simple as possible. I mean, I truly believe that I am not here to live a struggle life.
You know, and
I'm
struggle.
really
That's a word that came to my mind just now because I feel like part of the resistance, I would say, is we've been, or society as a whole has been conditioned into glorifying struggle
Mhm.
and kind of taking on this belief that if you haven't struggled, then what you have got going on is not worth anything or you're undeserving or like there's so many deep-rooted
No,
things
yeah,
and levels to this. If you
yeah,
haven't struggled, you're not you're undeserving of success, whatever that looks like to you.
yeah.
Um, and part of this, I feel like there's a huge part of the resistance. I feel like especially with women as well, because more and more women now are wanting to opt into a way of operating that does feel like flow
Mhm.
um and more easeful. But there are so many deeply ingrained beliefs that
100%.
tell us that things have to be hard. And so
Yeah,
if you've got AI coming along that's gonna make your processes and things, especially when it comes to, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you're creating things. And I mean, even I've had certain resistances in places where it's like, this is something I'm used to having to think about and do myself. Like, what does this mean for what I'm offering? If,
definitely.
that whole element is taken out and it's that easy. I've
Yeah,
got a whole planning processes that are just kind of taken over. And now all I'm left to do is create. Like, can this be? So I'm sure I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling like who has felt like that.
I definitely had that experience. I spoke on this before where I was saying that I was creating, um, I'm used to creating websites and would always do like the copy for my websites. So and I enjoy doing it, like writing, I don't know, the about me section and all these bits and pieces. And it's just part of the process, right? Time
Yeah,
consuming, but it was something that at that time had to be done because I wasn't aware of or didn't have access to back then AI systems and tools that
yeah.
I could use to generate this stuff. So fast forward now, AI is in the picture, ChatGPT is in the picture, and I'm like feeling really weird about putting in asking ChatGPT essentially to like do this stuff for me. Because there was part of me that felt like am I not being authentic or like integral about what's what's on my like the words and the descriptions of everything that's on my website? Because in my head, I was like, well, it's not me if I'm not writing it exactly as it needs to be. And I was like, hold on, let's evaluate that, right?
Yeah.
Why, first of all, is there resistance? Why do I feel like those have to be my exact words on the website?
Mm,
And a couple of things that came up for me was ego.
mm,
And you might not see it on the surface, but I realized that I wanted people to know that I had done
yeah.
this, right? Over having a great write-up for my
Mm,
website, point blank
yeah.
period. The second thing that came up was like, people don't, when you go on a website, you are not considering whether the business owner themselves took the time out of their day to write the descriptions of their products or whatever it is on the website. So, me feeling weird about not putting my exact words on there was like unnecessary because that's not what's most important. And when you take those things away from me, when I unburdened myself from doing that, I got phenomenal write ups, phenomenal descriptions. I got my time back, which
Mm,
means that I had time to
yeah.
focus on the things that I actually really wanted to do, which was like create, to make my jewelry, those bits and pieces. And there was no excuse for not having the time to do those things because
Yeah.
now I've utilized ChatGPT or AI to really come in and do those things for me. So once again, checking yourself and asking yourself, where's this resistance coming from? What's the fear? Be honest with yourself. Is there a bit of, I want to do this myself because is it control? Is
Yeah.
it ego? In it, it shows up in the most unlikely of places on the surface of your mind because you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily go there. But the way that I'm wired to kind of like unpick the resistance with the
Yeah.
level of self-awareness that I have, it was like, yeah, this check yourself. Check yourself and do what it go with the easier route, right?
Yeah.
Why are we wired to go with the more difficult route so that you feel like some level of gratification for doing that? Ego's rub now. I've done that. I'm proud of myself. Fantastic. But actually, it took you 2 days to write all of that. How about having ChatGPT write that in all of 30 seconds?
Mm.
And now you've got your 2 days back to go and do something else.
Yeah. Like it's the glorification of the struggle. And there's
So,
so there's just so much, like you said, undoing. And it's like when you think you've you've done like a good amount of undoing, it's like the whole new levels are revealed. And it's
yeah.
but that's why I feel like it can be such a gift for like controversial things, controversial things like AI and the rise of it to come into society because they challenge certain things within us. Um, like how else? I mean, that was a great, like your example, that was a great thing that had come into your remit for you to challenge and say, oh, hold up, why do I feel like I need to do this? Like it may not have hit in different ways. You may not have come to the surface in that
Mm,
way
mhm,
through different means, but this is definitely something that I think um, women could tap more into and really use as a tool to dig deep and figure out, okay, because it's like, yes, we all may on a conscious level say we want to live a life that is more easeful, in flow. I can be in my creativity and flourish and be abundant from that. But because of how a lot of us have been conditioned and have been operating for most of our lives, you've got these subconscious beliefs that are like, oh, honey, you think you're gonna live an easeful life, well, you're not gonna be abundant. Easeful is not abundant. And this is the little voice in the back of your head. While you may, on a conscious level and an intellectual level, understand that, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the type of life I want to live. And I can be easeful now. I am abundant. You have that internal programming because that's what it is. Our minds are programs. They've been programmed based on the beliefs that we've input into them throughout the course of our lives, the ways in which our behaviors have reinforced those beliefs. And so that's really what's fun in the show. You can say, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can do that. But in the deep rooted beliefs and that deep that mind identified little person in your mind is saying, I don't think so. So it's such a great opportunity. Like we are given opportunities every moment of every day to question our beliefs and ways of
mhm,
operating. Stuff that we don't even realize that we're doing. And so this is one of them. This is
mhm,
one of them. The connection and relation, how we relate to artificial intelligence, um, and questioning any kind of beliefs or resistance that we have towards it, even on the most seemingly minor levels, because that can tell you, like your example, that can tell you how you truly feel in relation to living a life with more flow and more ease.
mm,
Um, because especially in the era that we're in now, so many women are waking up to their power, and so
mm,
many women are being called to serve the collective in ways that are do come natural to them. And you want to make use of anything that's going to make that easier for you, right? And
mm,
so this is why I like the title of this as well, like the goddess algorithm. Like you're leaning into your goddess power, like part of it as well, I think, is things that tend to come easily to us or the things that we're being called to do. We're unsure whether it's going to be fruitful and be abundant. And so there's also a resistance to leaning fully into that. Um, Making use of artificial intelligence helps us to lean fully into that so that we're not spending time doing tasks that are literally sucking the souls out of us.
yeah, agreed. I think, honestly, I think many of us want an excuse to stay stuck. And so when something comes up that presents an opportunity to free yourself in so many ways, um, many of us beings decide not to. And that's cool. That's okay. Even in terms of what you were saying before about AI taking over certain jobs and stuff, and whilst that's most definitely a reality, like you said, your perspective shift on that is key. Because some may say, yeah, but what about, I don't know, Joe Bloggs, who's worked in his factory for 25 years and that's all he knows, and da 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 da. And it's like, yes, whilst there's understanding of that situation and also compassion, because if you're used to doing something and something comes along and takes that and shifts that, you're now forced to have to do things differently. Um, and your perspective in that moment and of that situation is going to be vital to your ascension and your expansion or your stagnant and decline, right? Because
Yeah.
you can either see it as being a victim of um, technological advancements and artificial intelligence, or you can say, okay, right, this is what's going on, where, how can I position myself, or where next? When we're living in a time where a job for life does not exist.
Mm.
A job for life doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Those things don't they just don't exist. People are constantly creating, people are constantly shifting and changing and evolving, and so many
yeah,
advancements are taking place. There's not many Joe Bloggses out there that are being affected in the way that they would have this been 50 years ago, because
yeah,
now, with generations coming up, we're just not hooked in the same way. But it's perspective on, and seeing it as an opportunity to do something different, an opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn, an opportunity to change, or you choose to stay stuck in the victimhood of what's happening to you. um but that speaks to your level of spiritual awareness. If
yeah.
you're somebody who isn't used to owning your power, stepping in your power, even understanding that you have power, then you're more likely to be on the end of the scale of where you choose to be a victim. They may not see it as a choice, but it absolutely is a
Yeah,
choice. Um, the second thing I wanted to touch on was, well, there's a couple of things actually.
yeah.
Something that came up in a previous conversation was uh, whether artificial intelligence is even artificial,
Mm.
right? Um, So my understanding of artificial intelligence is essentially um, mathematical, mechanical processes that um, are put together in some kind of technological way, and then you can utilize that to really amplify your current experience.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that's not a dictionary definition, but when I think of it conceptually, that's how I kind of process
yeah.
AI is. Um, and so when I think about it, right? Now this might be a little wild for some people, but hey, this is the purpose of Timeless Goddess Insights, right? Um, when I think about it, I think, okay, it's got this information from somewhere. That's the first thing.
Right.
It didn't get this information out the sky. So artificial intelligence came from some level of intelligence, and that intelligence was humans, because humans had to input that
It's
intelligence.
literally copying us. It's us.
So
You know what? Carry on.
that right there, you need to like clip and put that as a short, because it's us. It's, in a way, you could kind of see it as somewhat of an advanced version of the mathematical process that our brain does. Not to say that we don't have the capability to do so, but the reason why I say advanced is ChatGPT can draw information from a variety of sources
Yeah,
over a variety of years from a variety of platforms, and in 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds,
yeah,
create me a pretty accurate uh, document on something that I was never, um, let's say, proficient on. So a subject matter.
yeah,
That's advanced in terms of what I would have been able to do in that time frame on that subject matter. Like that's a level of advancement, right?
yeah.
So is it artificial? I want to put this question to you. Is it artificial to you? And um, is there some kind of superior mechanism that, yeah, I don't know if that sort of, if that sort of makes sense to you.
That makes sense. And I think, okay, first and foremost, everything within this. universe and world, so to speak, is literally made up of the same stuff. And so, on that level, everything is just literally atoms and molecules being rearranged to create new stuff,
Hmm.
stuff that we're made of too. So, on a basic level,
Hmm.
again, there's nothing new under the sun. It's all just being rearranged.
Hmm.
And secondly, I agree with you on when you said, um, talked about AI being a kind of advanced, just in terms of perhaps the methods in which it uses to put information together and give you a result. Um,
Hmm.
and perhaps it's speed. But it's
Hmm.
like you said, it's not that we are incapable. We are not doing that. We haven't, like, most humans are literally using such a tiny percentage of their brains on a day to
Hmm.
day.
Hmm.
We've been conditioned to operate in a certain way and kind of ignore our power and our abilities, that a lot of us don't even know that we have certain abilities and power. And so it can look like some crazy out of this world artificial thing that's taking over, but it's literally getting tips from humans. It's literally copying humans. It gets its information and ways of understanding things from human
Humans.
minds. So I think it can appear superior, but us as
Yeah,
beings are always going to be the superior
always.
thing because it's what we're copying. And so it can it's an opportunity for no, it's not an opportunity. Like, people are literally being catapulted into seeing their power. And for many, that's a scary thing. And they're just backing away and sinking into that kind of victimhood, like you said. Others
Mhm.
are utilizing this time as an opportunity to step further into more knowledge and understanding of who they are and their power, because the information is coming in fast. And if you're a
Mhm.
person that has been just completely unaware of anything to do with your divinity or power, it's going to look and feel crazy. And so you kind of you probably have a natural inclination to just run from it. But if you even have a glimmer of, or you've had glimmers over the course of your life that there is way more to you than you have been shown or currently understand, then I mean, people are doing it, but now is the perfect time to dive headfirst because you're
Mm.
not crazy.
Mhm.
And everything that you can perceive and you see outside of yourself that is seemingly more powerful than you should kind of smile because you're more powerful than that.
Mm. Mhm.
You're even more powerful than that.
Mhm.
When it comes to this artificial intelligence and technology, so that let it excite you and let it catapult you into diving into more knowledge and information.
Mm. Agreed. I think there's a clear division when it comes to uh us beings at this moment, with those who are um running headfirst into ascending and growing and absorbing this knowledge and reaching for the skies. And then there's those who uh, just are not. There's no gray area. That's even another conversation, a topic for another conversation, another conversation.
Yeah.
Um, there's I don't believe there's a gray area. You're either operating in the energy of that which you want and desire, or you're not. And that's all of us. And that's
Yeah.
on the big things, and that's on the small things. That's on the small decisions you make day to day. I'm either doing something that supports what I say that I want, or I'm not. I can't make excuses for that.
Yeah.
With that, like you said, um, there's those of us who are open to really learning more about AI and the technological advancements that are taking place and how to utilize and benefit from AI. I keep going back to ChatGPT because it's such a simple starting point.
Mm.
Um, I think when I first started using ChatGPT, I kind of used it like a Google, which I felt was, as time went on, I realized that was really disrespectful to the intelligence that is there because it's really not. Like it's really not. Um, it's more sophisticated. Um, and from the previous conversation we had on Divine Fridays about AI, I got encouraged to really uh, program my AI with information about just what I'm doing, how I view life, how I'm navigating life, so that the results, the suggestions are tailored to the type of person that I am. And
Yeah.
that has been a game changer in utilizing AI. So this system now has data. I haven't put any personal data in terms of like date of birth and things like that, address. I haven't given it. And for now, I wouldn't put that in there personally. That's just a personal choice. But all other bits and pieces, I've I've kind of given it information on just like my philosophies and
Mm.
things that I'm interested in, and the responses are phenomenal. The responses are phenomenal. The guidance, the schedules, the results, just it. I can't recommend utilizing it any more than I'm doing now
Yeah.
because such a it's a gentle introduction to AI, um and its capabilities are way beyond what ChatGPT is. That's just a basic form of AI.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting used to utilizing it for our own individual growth and purposes is really key. Another
Yeah.
topic that came up in relation to AI, which I think is really interesting, is um, using AI for tarot readings and astrology and things like that, right? Because typically, in a traditional sense, shall we say, um, your cards are interpreted. You you'll pull your cards and you'll get your intuitive guidance, and then you'll read those cards according to what you interpret and feel. And some people have utilized AI to interpret those cards. Um, and so at first I was like, oh, how does this work, right? If this is AI just telling you what it thinks, but then I say think, I use that loosely. um, but when I was listening to the lady speak on this, um, it's kind of just another, it's just another tool, just how you may um, read something else. Anything that you see or you feel is resonating with you, or is a message, comes from one space, comes from one
Yeah.
place. And that is source. Like even going back to what you said on an atomic level, right? We all are made up of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And so a perspective of looking at utilizing AI for uh spiritual purposes is that it's another tool that is made up of uh or connected to divine consciousness,
Yeah.
collective consciousness that we all have access to. Um, and whereas some people may use crystal stones, oracle cards, tarot cards, some people use tea leaves, some people read all kinds of things. This is another example of another tool being used And it may feel, the thought of it may feel strange because um, it's not commonplace for where
Yeah.
we are in society and civilization at the moment.
Yeah.
But nothing began as commonplace. Everything became accepted or acceptable at some stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, don't know if you've got thoughts on.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think it's interesting because we've been entering a time of um knowledge and knowing. And I feel like this current period of that we're in, like we're being catapulted into like information and knowing. And I feel like when it comes to kind of the terms spirituality and science and tech and everything, it's kind of it can feel a bit murky to some because I feel like as humans we've kind of found, I guess, solace in the not knowing when it comes to spirituality and divinity and why things happen the way they do and how things work. And now we're kind of at the same time of coming to terms with our power and our direct connection to source, our direct connection to divinity. It's I feel like there's going to be a lot of resistance to knowing exactly how certain things work and why how these outcomes happen. Like I think we kind of had touched on this the other day, talking about like the term magic and stuff and what that even means. And years and years ago, something that we're doing now, especially when it comes to like technological advancements, like something like a smartphone, being able to speak to someone thousands of miles across the world and see their face in your phone. Years, yeah, hundreds of years ago, that probably would have been deemed as magical because they wouldn't have even conceived how that could have become possible. And so where there's we're going through another shift, kind of more shifts right now that are kind of showing us that we are all the same stuff. We are all the same thing connected to one source, and that there are multiple ways and tools in which it to use and that are available to us,
Mhm.
including artificial intelligence and the interpretation of things, and everything is a tool at this point. And so I think, yeah, it can feel resistant to some because it's like, oh, that doesn't feel. Maybe for some people, they may feel like, oh, that doesn't feel divine, or what doesn't make it divine? The fact that now there are kind of explanations for things and other methods to
Accessing that information.
accessing that information. That's a perfect way
Yeah.
to put it. Other methods of accessing that information. The Does the not knowing make it magical? Does the not knowing make it more divine?
I think like I love what you said there. And um I think not knowing gives people an excuse.
Oh.
Let's just put it out there on the table. I think it gives people an excuse to leave certain things in a particular category, deem them divine, magical, mysterious, godly. Um, and this is why I think over the years there's been a conflict between science and religion specifically, because science has a lot of explanations about stuff. And I always say, I personally love science, also deeply interested in understanding uh, religion to a certain degree in terms of the mindsets, um, and realizing that science doesn't actually create it. Like we had this conversation the other day, it doesn't actually create um, or discover anything as such, because
Yeah,
everything is it creates explanations and helps us to understand what already is and exists. And
Yeah.
like you said earlier, everything is just modification on the distribution of atoms, and like
Yeah.
that's all that's taking place in this planet, right? In this universe. And so I feel like when you can label something as um like when you want to put something in a bracket of like, especially when you're thinking about things from a religious context, I can only speak, I always say I can only speak from the understanding of, say, Christianity, because that's historically has been the background. But leaving it to God and not taking certain responsibilities for your own uh development of knowledge and understanding on particular areas, because um you feel like maybe it's not your place. God has all the answers, not you. And so your inclination isn't to really dive deeper and try and understand or learn things that you feel resistant to, or taboo. You just think maybe resistance means negative or bad,
Mm.
or I
Yeah.
shouldn't be going there, rather than an invitation to elaborate and dive deeper and uncover and learn. And nobody's saying that you should take on everything that comes your way. No, but holding space for understanding or learning, even if you learn that it's not for you, but just
Right.
having a level of openness. And I think, yeah, like it when things are kind of that way, you can't people have an excuse to not dive deeper, to not step outside of their comfort zone, and to
Own their power.
learn and yes, own their power, step into their power, because to do that means that there's a big old responsibility that you're now assuming and saying everything that has happened, everything that is happening is my responsibility. I have choices,
Yeah.
and these things are happening because my energy, frequency, vibration, my focus, my attention, my beliefs about self, my beliefs about what's possible, my beliefs about the planet. And you can't blame something or somebody else for that.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think some people want excuses to stay in the limited
Mm.
perspective that they have.
Yeah.
Um, and by denying the use of or technology or AI, um, and deeming it as whatever word, but something negative, um, means that you get to stay in
Mm. Yeah.
your box of discomfort, which is actually more comfortable than the idea of
Yeah.
stepping out and owning your power. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, uh, you said it. You said it all. Um, Owning your power is people are afraid of the unknown, because when you step out of that comfort zone, you can't quite anticipate how it's going to pan out. You can just take whatever step is presented to you next. And yeah, that's uncomfortable for some, but it's like, okay, what's more uncomfortable? Living a life of um discomfort and living life as a victim, and in a way that reinforces the idea that things are happening to you, or living a life where you can actually free yourself from your self-imposed shackles, which they are. It can be a tough pill to swallow for many, but those shackles are self-imposed. So yeah, I don't know if you had anything else to add to this topic. We're gonna be like, this is literally the heart of her ML club, like helping women to awaken to their power
Mhm.
and assisting in a way that just presents a multitude of perspectives and resources that
Hmm.
show how that's possible.
Yeah, I think that
Um,
is that's spot on, and it's needed, it's necessary. Um, the types of conversations and topics that resources and information that will be accessible will you can get some level of insight even just by watching these timeless goddess insights on Fridays, because as you can tell, we kind of tapping into subjects that you wouldn't necessarily typically think that they go together.
yeah,
But there's always something to learn. There's always something to um, uh, expand or embrace. And we're in a time where, like, I'm not here for the mediocre.
yeah,
I'm really not here to experience the mediocre. I want to learn more. I want to understand more. I've been Spirit has put me in a position right now where I'm being thrown so much wisdom, like so much knowledge and wisdom is being thrown at me. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking this, I'm taking this, I'm taking this. And I'm realizing it's all for this greater purpose,
yeah,
all for this greater purpose, because there's so much more to this experience than 99.9% of us can even fathom,
yeah,
even fathom. And so her Emerald Club uh, provides an opportunity for women who really know their power, who really want to connect with other women who know their power, who really want
yeah,
to tap into conversations, knowledge, resources, connections that can absolutely amplify their existence and their experience and
yeah,
help create impact in their lives and the lives of those that they are in connection with and that they um, share when they share their knowledge and information and resources, and just by virtue of just reverberating out into the universe such a beautiful high vibrational frequency as divine feminine beings, like fully embodied,
mm,
understanding who they are as divine feminine beings, embracing all aspects. Dark feminine embodiment is my
mm,
thing, because you can't avoid it. In order for us
yeah,
to really just be the fullest expression of ourselves, we have to tap into every aspect of ourselves. And it's not always easy, it's not always comfortable, but it's necessary work. And those that feel the calling to do so, um, hats off to you. Hats
yeah,
off to you,
yeah,
because us owning who we are and moving in our power absolutely helps the wider community.
yeah.
It gives other people permission to do so
It's the
themselves.
same. Yeah,
Whether you realize you're being watched, whether you realize that you're creating impact, whether or not you realize that you are, just
yeah,
by existing and vibrating out such a positive, uh, high vibrational frequency, just by being and existing, you are absolutely contributing to the consciousness of this planet in a magical way. Um,
absolutely.
and so I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm committed to the cause. I'm so glad to be working alongside my beautiful sister.
Likewise, darling.
My
Likewise.
beautiful sister, blood sister, Liv, Olivia Grant. Um, so yeah, I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there.
Yes, yes. We will be back next week.
Hmm.
Topic, we usually announce it on our Threads accounts and Instagram accounts, which will be written in the description below.
Hmm.
And you can join the waitlist for our app, which will be on heremeraldclub.com.
Hmm.
And follow us on our social media accounts. Again, it will be in the caption. And we will be back with more divine insights, more timeless goddess insights. I'm looking forward to whatever next week's topic is. We don't know
Hmm.
yet. We're going to flow with it and let it come to us. And share in
As
the
you,
comments.
yeah,
any insights you've had from watching this webinar today, and any other thoughts you may have. We are building a community. We are world building. We are building something so infused with divinity and love.
Mhm.
And yes, thank you for being
Amazing.
here.